Okay, hello everyone, we're back. We have our third and final panel of the day. With me, I have Tiffany and Hannah. What I want to do first is have you guys introduce yourselves. So I've been running the whole thing the whole day, so everyone knows who I am. Tiffany, we start with you. So can you introduce yourself, what you do, and then what your identity is?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany. I also go by Rio Clue. My pronouns are she, they, and I am currently known for being the content editor at LeagueSpot, the director of D&I at Supernova, and the League of Legends coach for St. Mary's Esports. So, yay, esports.
And then Hannah?
Hi, my name is Hannah. My in-game username is Zunix00. I am currently a student going to be going to Illinois Wesleyan in the fall.
Woo!
Wonderful jerseys. Um, so yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then I do want to start with the brief history and talk about how you guys got into esports. So I'll go first, kind of set the stage because I think I also skipped some topics in mine. I got in esports starting in 2014. Actually, I didn't start earlier. This was college, so freshman year of college, I started watching Counter Strike religiously. Like I don't know why, I just love the game. I got into gaming much earlier. I played in an old COD Black Ops 2 clan, and I played like clan battles for Black Ops 2 because I was that kind of kid. But I got really into serious like esports stuff in 2014, playing Counter Strike and watching a hilarious amount of Counter Strike. Like it shouldn't have been legal. I was watching four regions, tiers 1 through 3, 24/7. My second monitor in my room was the Counter Strike monitor. I would just show Met games constantly. And so I kind of got into that, and I started playing League with my college roommate and his friend group, and then he dropped out, and now we're best friends. And and so I started playing with them a bunch and played League there and got my start in League, and then started coaching high school and doing that my second day of teaching. And I actually met Hannah through coaching because she was a student in the IHSCA, which the league I run or in part run, and had to deal with your crap for 2 years.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, 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 but you're here now. And so my perspective has always been kind of as a managerial role. I've never really played. I competed in Tier 3 Siege for a while, but that game's torture, so I didn't stay long. But I did start following a managerial role and do that kind of thing, and it's been really enjoyable so far. The impact I can have on students and just the stuff I can do from a managerial perspective is just fun. Tiffany, kind of want to talk about your history in esports and how you got into it?
Yeah. So, ooh, that's a big question. But I would say I actually got into esports like when I was probably in, I want to say middle school. So for reference, I graduated college in like 2020. So it's been a while. And that was because my brother at the time, he's still my brother, obviously, but my brother, he plays League of Legends, and I kind of like saw him play and I was like, oh my God, what is that? And so he kind of got me into it basically. And then from there in high school, I hosted like video game tournaments. And I know especially back then, which was around, I believe 2014-ish, that was sort of unheard of. I remember a lot of people being very confused of like, because we would make like video trailers and stuff and play them at the assembly
Oh my
in front of
god.
the entire high school. Yeah, no, they had teachers were like, "What the heck is it's like pen to kill," and they're like, "Killing? What is this?" So yeah, I don't know, but it was nerve-wracking, but I love video games, so I didn't care. Yeah, and then in college. Found my esports club, Coog Esports at the University of Houston. I was a player for League of Legends, collegiate, and then also for Overwatch, back when TESPA existed. And
They still
then,
technically exist.
okay, but like not in the official capacity that they used to. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's true. Come on now.
Yeah, it's true.
And yeah, from there I became the League of Legends coordinator for Coog Esports for about 2 years. And then from there on, I went into amateur League of Legends, where I did a bunch of stuff like graphic design, managed some teams. Proud to say that, in particular for XT Esports, some of the players went on to Academy.
Ooh, which players?
Yes. I honestly can't remember the top of my head, and that's kind of
Tiffany, you
kind
can't
of
flex it and not know
Oh
the
my
names.
gosh.
shh, shh. Hey, it's still cool though. Hey.
That is.
But I mean, to be fair, I just helped. Like I wasn't very close to them like Elton was, so you know. But I do know where they went. And that's what matters. Anyway, so and then I would intern at places like Dignitas and eventually do a bunch of different esports jobs as one does. And I caught my big break when I was able to work for Team Liquid for a little bit.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then I got my very cool job now at LeagueSpot, among the other cool things I do that I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. And then Hannah?
Mine is very much shorter than that. Um, I got into esports through friends, basically. There was a small group of people that I met through, actually, funny enough, a Minecraft server, and we started off by playing, like, I regret by saying this, R6, a bit of CSGO, and then they're like, hey, you should download this really cool game called Overwatch. And I'm like,
And
will
then
I
it went
regret
downhill
this?
from there.
Yeah, and I'm like, will I regret this? And they're like, no, it's gonna be great. Um, I still haven't left that rabbit hole, sadly. Um, but from there, I just kept doing it throughout high school, just as a fun little pastime. And then when my high school was like, hey, we're gonna start up a team, do you want to join? I'm like, sure, why not? I'll try out. Didn't expect to get the spot, but I did. And here we are 2 years later after that. So huge shout out to Niles West and their program for supporting us. And then to all my friends that deal with me on the daily and help me out through this. So now I'll be going into collegiate.
And Hannah's coming to Wesleyan for collegiate, which is awesome. I am so excited to have her coming soon. She's already been harassing myself and Tom for several days now. It's the fun time of esports is that we make friends like that. So yeah, history and esports, and then Hannah, you also coach a bunch too on your own.
Yeah, so I've been coaching for now a year and a half on the side. I just do smaller teams here and there. So after our first season as a high school team, I joined a private team, played with them for a bit, and I'm like, um, I kind of want to try something. And said private team evolved into me coaching another smaller team because they were like, "Hey, we need a coach. You wanna try it?" So I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And then that evolved into me coaching now two teams. Actually, I think more like three.
You also did team management for a while too.
Yeah, I team managed for basically half a year, maybe a full year.
It's still something. It's still something. Half a year in esports is an eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've managed two Valorant teams. I don't know how many Overwatch teams at this point. I've also done photography for two Valorant teams, actually three now.
And you're also going to Wesleyan to partially be our team photographer, which I've already kind of set the spot aside for you.
I'm gonna love that.
I'm buying a new
You're
lens soon as well.
Heck yeah. You will now have to buy me coffee at every event though.
Okay, okay. What? We'll settle this debate later. So, kind of the whole goal of doing this whole stream is talking about pride initiatives and things like how our coming out stories and that kind of thing. And I know I mentioned earlier in the day, but I want to mention mine again just to kind of put some context on things. Um, so my coming out story, like I've mentioned to people, is pretty fast by relative terms for standards. But as Dalton mentioned earlier, everyone's timeline is their own, and so we have to keep that in mind. I my best friend came out to me when like last March, and as trans, and then I started thinking about it a lot, and I figured it out and came out, or I figured it out in September, came out in October, and went started hormones in November. And so my timeline, people always talk about being in the closet forever. I had the opposite. I had this sudden, basically just off the deep end, and it's kind of who I am, to be honest. As Hannah's probably noticed, is that like I just kind of go do things, and I don't think about it sometimes. And
Yeah.
so, so I've been dealing with some repercussions from that. But like, I've always made myself an advocate, and even before I came out, I was the ally around. I was the primary ally for a lot of people, and a lot of people talked to me because I was just a safe person for that. And so I want to show others that I can be out in myself with, the flag and the tattoo and stuff, just because it's who I am, and I want people to see that I can be who I am publicly too, without much fear. I mean, there's still there's fear there, but I manage it and I be myself just because others need me to be myself too. Tiffany. So Tiffany and Hannah, then I want to talk about yours. So like, what's your relation to Pride initiatives and kind of experience in the past, and then what's your coming out story?
This is definitely a Pride initiative, technically, is it not? But no, in general, it's very interesting because like in the past, like I understand that Pride is like a very big deal, but until recent years, I never really thought about doing much, to be very frank. So that's something I'm learning as well. I know at least with Leaf Spot and Supernova and St. Mary's, we're really, really pushing to do a lot of different things. So, which will be revealed TM in their due time. But
If there's anything I can
yeah,
help with, let me know.
yeah, no, definitely for sure, Cora. Of course, you'll be like the first person I go to.
Let's go.
Um, yeah, and at least for me coming out, it was very interesting because so I grew up in a very traditional Asian household. I had for the longest I'm serious, for the longest time into like middle school, I had no idea like what the word gay or trans was at all. I remember my friend actually came out to me as trans, and I was like, I thought they were trying to be like they were saying they want to be part of my family because my last name's trans. And I was like, we're not blood related, but okay. Like I didn't understand. And then when they explained it to me, I was just like, but you're just being you. Like I literally had no concept of that, like at all, because in general I've always been very masculine. So when they were like, well, they're female to male. So when they explained it to me, I just said, well, that's just you being yourself, right? That's just who you are and who you want to be. Like to me it just I didn't understand the whole or anything. Of course now I'm way more educated, but I mean even back then to me when I was that young, it didn't seem like a big deal to me. But I can totally understand it now, and at least for coming out, so I'm bi, and I believe like I had the full realization when I started high school. Uh, and in my family, like people, like my parents know, but it's that thing that you don't talk about,
Mhm.
you know? Like it's just so I used for the longest time I had long hair, right? And that's very like femme presenting, right? But recently, this year, I cut it. So
The
very
haircut looks
short.
amazing.
Thank you. Very
Oh.
short. It's a very guy or haircut as my parents would describe it, and they were upset for the longest time. They were like, "Is this you saying you want to be a guy? Like, is it like, are you trying to make a statement or something? That kind of thing." And to my understanding, it was they were afraid how they were going to be perceived because of how I looked, which,
Mhm.
I mean, frankly, obviously, I didn't care much about. Granted, though, obviously, my my views are different from my parents, right? They came to the US after the Vietnam War. So, they have very different views on things, and so it's, understandable. I mean, they're still kind of getting used to it all, but I've always been quite different, even to formal gatherings or weddings of my family, I would always wear a suit. So, of course, family members would give me the odd look here or there, but I've always just done what I've wanted to feel comfortable, basically. So, yeah.
Hey,
But
that's a great explanation, though. I really appreciate that.
yeah, of course. No, I'm happy that I've really taken it in stride this year to not only support a lot of people through Pride initiatives, but also to really be authentically myself more and accept myself
Yeah.
for who I am. So,
You've been one of my biggest champions too, so I also really appreciate that, and it comes across all the interactions I have with you.
oh, thank you.
And then Hannah, would you mind sharing kind of your coming out story and kind of your relation to Pride initiatives?
So my actually first experience with Pride initiatives was through like middle school and even kindergarten. My kindergarten teacher was gay, and he basically told us on what Pride was. And at the time, I had no idea. Like I didn't understand it. I was a kindergartner, but now looking back, I'm like, wow, I really do appreciate that. And then my second experience was through my middle school band director. So I want to say a huge thank you to him. He was always supportive, always telling people about it. He was openly gay and always said, hey, if anyone wants to talk about it or wants more information, to talk to him. Because he understood kind of going through middle school and high school that you're still kind of exploring yourself and figuring yourself out, but also a lot of the people that are in my area don't sometimes feel comfortable with their parents. Um, I first kind of found out more about myself in high school when I had a bit more of that freedom. Um, it was scary at first, I'd say, because I grew up in a household where things are a bit more strict, but also my parents were from the old country, uh, Romania in specific. So they came here not really knowing what those terms meant. So I can relate to you, Tiff, on that. Um, my first other experience was my friend came out to me as bi, and I'm like, huh, how can I help you, or how can I, you know, help you around? And they're like, just keep being my friend, don't leave me
Exactly.
just for being this way. I'm like, so this is a part of you, this is who you actually are. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, keep doing you, go at it. So that was definitely an experience, but it helped boost my confidence on coming out. But then things kind of went a little downhill. I came out to my parents separately. So I came out to my dad first. And I remember it was one summer morning, we were in the car, and I told him, hey dad, I'm bi. And he just looked me dead in the eyes and he's like, what's that? And I had to explain it to him. And he's like, so you like guys and girls? And I'm like, yeah, basically. And he's like, okay, as long as you're happy, I'm happy. I'm like, great. um, the next morning I told my mom, and that was a little rougher. She still does it to this day occasionally. But when I told her, it basically, she said straight to my face, oh, don't put a label on it, it's just a phase. And I'm like, really? Mm-hmm, really. Um, so she still kind of throws it out here and there, but I'm like, yeah, this is just gonna be the one thing no one ever talks about in this family because it's not gonna go well.
Actually, when talk about coming out to people separately, I don't know if Tiffany you did this, but for me, I actually so because of the advanced timeline I was working on, or basically I told all my friends like early October, And I basically set a date for myself in my head, October 16th, and then went, oh, I haven't told my family. Oh.
Oh no.
And so what I had to do is I don't call my folks a lot because we're all really busy. It's where I get it from. And so we just don't talk a ton. We're still like we don't hate each other or anything. It's like they're accepting, they love me, but like we just don't call a lot. We're not that close because we all have our own things to do, which is fine. Um, so I call mom at the 1 hour I know she's open, 11 p.m. at night, and tell her, and she's like, "Oh, your dad had a feeling because you painted your nails." I'm like, "I didn't even told you I'd done that." Apparently, Dad found my Twitter
Oh.
and had been following me for a while, and I didn't know because his account's private. And so, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The thing is, I hadn't posted anything publicly yet. He just knew the nails thing. And he's also like, and mom's also like, well, you did dye your hair purple for your students last May. And I'm like, that was for a class reward. I mean, I did actually want it really bad, and I did ask first, but that was for a class reward. And so mom is accepting. Her brother is, she's the only supporter of her brother who is gay, and he came out as gay in the 80s in Wisconsin. So rough time. So mom's like a big supporter of him, so I knew she'd be accepting of me. My concern was dad, because dad is Republican, but mom has softened up it because mom's Democrat, and basically he's socially Democrat but fiscally conservative. I don't understand it, and it's weird. And so I then like mom's like, you have to tell him separately. I'm like, yeah, I do. So I call him the next day as he's driving home from work because that's the one time I actually can talk to him. And he's like, yeah, I had a feeling. Like, this could have been a lot easier. This could have been so much easier if I didn't have to do this whole process. Thank you. Moving on. And then I proceeded to ask him help for my computer. like literally, that's it. That was the entire conversation. But like, have you guys had that experience? 'Cause Hannah, you talked about it. Tiffany, have you had the experience of talking to people separately?
The only people that I've come out to explicitly in my family are my brother, just because we are a year apart, and I basically grew up with him. So, and my brother has never seemed to really judge me for who I am. So I figured it'd be pretty easy conversation, and it was. The other person is is a cousin of mine who is also gay. So that was pretty easy, as you can imagine. But yeah, I mean, in terms of my family, that's really it. I mean, I'm pretty public about it on Twitter. Like,
don't call me out like this, please. Please no.
like I'm pretty open about how gay I am on Twitter. So.
So I can't be the only one who, when I was trying to come out to people, I had this kind of like hierarchy in my head of who would be the hardest to come out to versus the easiest.
Fact.
And I had like a list. I was like working through the list one by one. I'm like, okay, who's the easy one I can start with? I can't be the only one, right?
No, you are not.
So,
but that's why I'm just like that on Twitter. That's why I'm like, I don't have to worry about it. I'm like, hey, I buy. Okay, cool.
I mean, you see me now. I am the gayest possible person on Twitter. My Twitter has been nothing but Pride Month for like 2 weeks now. Even before
10
Pride.
days.
The thing is, I also posted that thread before Pride Month talking about the history and origin of
true.
Pride Month. The thread that probably nobody read. And it was really informative for me, and I learned a lot, so I wanted to share it. So I'm just gay as hell on social media, and it's great.
Yeah, and your banner's Cora.
Okay. Yeah. That one was an idea from a student who I had to take to like a friend of mine who does banners and just have him make it because it just stuck. I kind of want a new one.
That is a bisexual cartoon character, ma'am.
Okay, I just want a gayer banner. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, we can make it happen.
Hey, Tiffany, you're a graphic designer, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I'd love a banner.
Tiffany?
Okay, two gay banners.
Let's do it.
Okay. Cough, nudge, nudge.
So we'll bribe Tiffany later.
Okay.
So what I want to talk more about as well is talking about now, because this is the thing I was talking about other panels too, is now that we've been out, people come to us then for help. And this whole concept of, one, what would you go back and say to your younger self who isn't out and doesn't know? And two, how can you then support others who come to you? Because, I mean, as Hannah's seen, I have my entire flock of students at this point who all talk to me, and a lot of them ask for help, and I'm still figuring out on the fly. Now, if I was going to talk to my younger self, there's a lot I could say. Most of them but stop being cringe. But I also, like, I'm still figuring out my own memories a lot of times from being trans as a youth because I didn't know. But I had, like, there's some thoughts that I've had that I dug up recently. I'm like, that kind of makes sense now, doesn't it? Of, like, just wishing I could be someone else, and I'm like, that kind of makes sense now. And so, the really big thought for me is just like, listen to your thoughts instead of kind of just going, it's weird, and then moving on. And then support initiatives, like supporting is all I do for people, and I love doing it, and it makes me happy, and so I just keep doing it. I keep collecting students at this point, but
You do.
I do, and I love them dearly.
That's why you're esports mom.
Yes, I am. And I love them dearly, and you're going to see them later in the stream too. And the kids mean a lot to me. And what I really focus on is just, and this is a thing I got from my people too, and my friends talk to me about this, is like, when I'm mentoring other queer youth, the whole goal is not to steer them. The whole goal is not to give them advice, it's to give them support. Of like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to listen. Anything you want to talk about, I'm here for it. I'm not here to tell them you must do this. I'm not here to make suggestions. Unless it's for their own safety. But like, besides that, I'm just here to talk and help. And that's the biggest thing I focus on when trying to help students is just, what do you need that I can do right now? If they want direct advice on should I do this, I'm like, well, I probably shouldn't be saying that. But if it's just, hey, I need someone to talk to right now, I'm all ears. So Tiffany and Hannah, I want to ask this question to you. We also had a conversation back and forth. It's not just a rigid question of like, if you go back to when you're younger and have this conversation with yourself, what would you say? And then how can you use your experiences to help mentor others?
Well, I know for me, at least, uh, when I first started figuring out, I know I was a little like, is this okay? I mean, I was very, uh, I was a very good kid in the sense of I always obeyed my parents. I just always believed they were right, no matter what kind of thing. So, anything new was very scary to me. And in general, I used to be very, very shy. Uh, I used to stutter, actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, fun fact. Um, but yeah, I would probably just tell myself it's okay to be myself. I was always afraid to be who I am. Because in general, I was always seen as very different. I was that girl that always hanged out with the guys. I was put into that category by people because, I was different. I played video games. I didn't like tradition, what quote unquote traditional girls liked. Of course, we know better, but so yeah, but I was just to myself, I'm doing totally fine. And it's okay to be me. Um, as for helping other people out, I think it's super important to, like you're saying you're doing, like let people know that you're open to talking and in general be open. So, and in this particular, I had this sort of experience when I was the league coordinator for Cookie Sports. I had some trans students, so, and I didn't want to pressure them to have to explain to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would just drop hints that, that you know, I was of the gays, of the LGBTQ community. But also, I was there if they wanted to talk about or not, like, of
Yeah.
course, but I would never pressure anybody because, I know for some people they're not ready or they don't want to talk about it, and that's totally fine. Or they don't feel comfortable sharing, right? So, but I think just, you know, help because in general, I mean, even people in general are apprehensive to really open up about themselves. So I feel like if you're the one to be open first, it really helps open that I said open a lot, but to open that window of conversation.
Actually, to follow up on that, at the League of Legends state finals for IHSA, like last weekend, I was wearing my Pride jersey. I have purple hair, painted nails, flag tattoo, all that thing. And a student's face when they saw me just like lit up because I was an openly queer person in a space they didn't expect one. And the kid like sat down and talked to me like immediately, and they just lit up talking to me, and it made me so happy that I could be that, like you said, that just they know that I am gay, and then they just felt comfortable around me enough to talk. And we didn't dive into anything like about them. It was just someone who's by default probably friendlier than those around them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. Like that. I mean, those are like, safety, like safety signs, I guess, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term, that, people look for. Like I know, like if I'm in somewhere kind of unfamiliar, I try to identify like maybe people that are like-minded as I am.
And then Hannah, you want to kind of briefly discuss your like advice to younger self as well as talking about how you can help others?
I think advice I'd tell my younger self is don't be so scared and that it's okay to take a break at times. Um, so I also grew up having medical conditions. I won't go into the specifics of those, but when I first found out about myself, I kind of just threw it to the side of, oh, it might be just because of my medical conditions or stuff like that. So I was also the kind of person that took care of others before myself. Um, so I think advice that I would give to my younger self is that it's okay to take a break to focus on yourself. Um, and to be okay to just sit in the moment and think, is this really who I am? Definitely. Um, Going forward, I just kind of want to be there for people, no matter if they're your older or younger. Just kind of helping others. Because that's what I've done always, whether it be my friends or my parents. It's just kind of second nature at this point.
And actually, on that topic, then we have this whole idea of being there for others, and I think we're all that kind of person. Is we're there for others first and foremost. Well, you got to take care of yourself to be there for others too. And that's what I caution a lot of people who are in the LGBTQ community: is you want to do all this for others, but if you can't do anything for yourself, it's not much of a point.
Or are you gonna follow your own advice?
Yeah, I do, don't I?
Honestly.
I'm calling
Cora,
myself out right now. Don't worry.
Cora, I be seeing you up at 3 a.m. Don't think I don't.
Okay.
Doing a bunch of different things too.
Don't ask the questions you don't want the answers to, okay? I've literally been answering work DMs on the side of this whole stream today.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
The DMs will be there.
No, I have things to do.
Oh
It's
my.
called take a break.
Breaks
Do
are for
things you love.
cowards.
What?
Oh
You
my
just
god.
breaks are for cowards. You just told people to take breaks.
I know, I'm not a coward.
What?
Oh my god.
No. So seriously, like, my students call me out for this all the time because I don't, and they're right. I need to take more breaks because I work myself to death, and it's gonna bite me in the butt eventually. And I will fully admit that the advice I'm saying right now is something that I need to actually hear myself.
You are the definition of gifted student burnout.
Stop sending me that TikTok, please. Middle of the stream, Hannah sends me that TikTok, and I'm like, I don't need this from you. Okay, and Sora just DM'd me telling me to take breaks. Thanks, honey. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sora.
Yeah, everyone's telling you, do it. We're telling you. People are DMing you.
Look. This did not turn to a therapy session, okay? I'm not going to pay you for that.
No, it's free therapy. It's free
Free
group
therapy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Free therapy? All of you get off me. So part of why I'm so focused on the Trevor Project is because for a lot of students, they have mentors in their life who they can talk to. They find the one queer adult in the room and just talk to them. They find other friends who are queer and talk to them. But there's some students who don't have that. I know some of my Glenwood students, until they really came out and found their community, They didn't have anyone, and so I was that person. But they still utilized the Trevor Project's kind of hotlines and stuff because it's so helpful to have someone to talk to who understands the stuff you're thinking of and the stuff you're trying to focus on. Because yes, 24/7 hotlines are good, but they're not focused on necessarily what you know and what you're thinking of. So that's the whole goal of Trevor Project, is to give that lifeline, that resource, that support for a more focused sort of group. And actually, this kind of segues then into looking at the current esports landscape and how you've dealt with it. So how you've interacted with esports in general, and talking about how have you been received in the community, given your identity? What have you dealt with? And then how can you build a stronger community and stronger group around this? And I know, Tiffany, you do DEI work. This is probably right in your wheelhouse. But I do want to kind of start with like asking first, how has the reception to your identity been in the space?
So actually, so in general, actually very positive, but I have, gone negative reception as well. Um, it's coupled by the fact that I'm openly bi, right? And then female in esports. So I've gone bashed for both, which, shouldn't be a thing, but here we are. Um, which I also find super weird, but people will be people, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, in general though, I don't care. Like, I'm just, I'm still very openly myself. It doesn't matter to me too much, really. It's just like, wow, you really spent the time to just say that you think I'm like a terrible person or player or whatever because of my sexuality and because I identify as female. But go off, I guess.
But go off, I guess.
I mean, they're just wasting energy. I don't know. I'm still gonna do my thing. I'm still gonna, do stuff in esports just because like they're hating on me. It's not gonna. If anything, I think that fuels me to do more. You know what I mean? Like I see it and I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do more things. I don't care.
I mentioned this earlier on the stream, actually. I had people in the space DM me. I had like several saying that I am really loud about being trans on Twitter for not passing. And then I got a tattoo.
That is transphobic.
And so then I got a tattoo and hung a flag on my wall. Because I'm me, and I can't really hide that I'm me. I mean, I'm bad at lying. I am awful at lying.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Same here. That's why I can't play Among Us.
Same. I am awful at that game because I physically can't lie. It makes me uncomfortable.
I'm a terrible imposter. I'm bad at it.
If I get goaded into an Among Us portion later in the stream, I will scream.
But
Adam, don't you say it. Hannah, please.
Dare do it, Adam. But I mean, Cora, like, I told you this before, like, I think you're perfectly fine the way you are. Like, people... I don't know why people don't think you're passing. I honestly don't see it. Like, but again, I'm way more open than a lot of people, so I don't know.
I've had someone, like, literally DM me to open a conversation randomly on Twitter. You don't pass. And I'm like, okay... I don't quite know what you want me to do with that. I'm not gonna lie.
There are people that I swear just wake up and be like, I just want to hate on people for fun.
They wake up and they choose violence.
Yeah, but like unsolicited violence. I don't know. It's just like go do something productive with your life. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are you telling them to touch grass?
No.
No, like, or just even more I mean, like, yeah. I mean, no, because people can touch grass and still be a terrible person. I almost said
they can literally sit outside on a park bench and still do that.
Yeah, like, go do something with your life. I don't know.
By the way, I gave Hannah summer homework to touch grass, by the way.
I did. I went outside today, walked to Starbucks, and got a cup of coffee.
But did you touch the grass?
I did touch the grass because I walked over the grass and sat on the park bench.
It always involves coffee with you. Oh my god. Okay,
Hey, she wants her coffee. I understand.
she is trying to convince me to get her a coffee machine in the facility, like a nice one.
I will be the barista of the facility. I worked as a barista before.
Oh, hey, that's a pretty good reason.
No, she's also trying to blackmail me into liking coffee.
Okay, I said I'll start you off with tea. Okay, tea.
Yeah, some leaf water.
It's just leaf water.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's just leaf water.
So then, Hannah, then how's the reception for you been online, given that you probably are in a lot more kind of vocal spaces, given that kids kind of find those spaces? And then just how's your reception been and how have you kind of dealt with it?
So reception on my end. So a lot of people didn't know that I was bi. So a lot of the reception was being that I am female in the space. And trust me, I sometimes wake up with some very interesting DMs. And it's unfortunate to say the least, but I just kind of respond sometimes with, "Huh, at least I'm living in your mind rent free." um but honestly, I've gotten reactions from even teammates, like past teammates that I've had, um just being extremely rude to me, and I'm like, "Okay, buddy. I'm glad I'm not teammates with you anymore though." So, but other than that, a majority of the time it is very, very positive. Um, Outside the space though, I can say it's a little more iffy. When I'm with family, of course, it's like, um, walking on thin ice to say the least. But other than that, really, like, much of the community has been positive. Yet there are still the little outliers that, I swear, sometimes they either wake up on the wrong foot or, like I said, just wake up and choose violence. Like, they really do need to pick something else better to do with their time than this.
And it's really frustrating to have those cases because, as we were talking about earlier with Dalton, a lot of times you can't change them.
No, you can't. And I remember a few times I was talking to you, if I could bring it up.
Yeah.
And you'd sometimes bring up the fact of someone random who's messaged you on Twitter. And those kinds of stories, honestly, they make me laugh because it's like, at least we waste their time. But they don't waste ours. Instead, they bring us satisfaction.
So I have a standard response every time yeah, you can ask questions in chat. Go ahead. Every time I get like a hateful DM, I just respond with Lamau and they tend to block me. I just respond with just Lamau and they tend to block me because I'm just better than them. That's fine.
Actually, I have a story
Oh no.
of a teammate that I used to have.
Ooh.
Oh, Philippine.
They ended up when Sinatra said his sorry post.
Oh,
It's a little bit. It was just recently when they said their sorry post. This person proceeded to copy paste it into my DMs, knowing my stance on sexual assault and rape, and I'm like, "Oh, you did not. Oh, you did not just do that, honey."
Who does that? Oh
Yeah.
my god, why?
So I was just like, "Yeah, that's going in the bin. Goodbye."
So there's actually a question in chat that if you're comfortable answering, I would appreciate. I think it'd be interesting to hear the answer to. So asking how you guys feel about the sexualization of LGBTQ community, including especially bi women. I mean, I kind of assume a feeling, but just what's your thoughts?
Ooh.
It's an interesting question. Personally, I enjoy this question. Tiff, if you want to go first, you can.
Sure. Obviously, I do it. It's an interesting question. So I mean, like it's how you view it, right? Like so obviously I do not like it. I do not like when people, I mean, in general, right, fetishize or sexualize groups of people. Um, I mean, well, you can't tell from my picture, but I'm Asian, so similar to that, right? Like people have, for lack of a better term, yellow fever. So it's sort of like that, right? Basically. So yeah, I
It's this whole
I
concept,
don't
I guess, of chasers,
yeah.
Yeah.
and it's a sad reality that it exists. It shouldn't, but it does.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
You're all good, Swagster. Don't worry.
You're okay.
Yeah, you're all good.
Actually, so I kind of want to kind of tie this conversation together with talking about, now we've talked about kind of the challenges we face and the things you guys have dealt with. How do you see the esports space where you deal with it? How can you see it trending to be a more inclusive environment? What can you see happening to be a more inclusive environment? What can be done? What would you like to see done?
That's a really big question. That is easily the hardest question.
I can make up harder ones. I can start giving you math questions or something.
No, not the
No, no, no,
math.
no, no.
Not
There,
the math.
there
Anything.
is a reason why I graduated high school.
The reason is you passed your classes, Hannah.
Yeah.
Shh, we don't talk about the no sleep nights.
And math is hard. No math, please. Math teacher. Uh,
Otherwise, I'm gonna need tutoring on stream.
Oh, actually,
I'm
so some of my students have figured out that I do still like do math sometimes. And it's like
uh
literally last night I tutored Dell in math for like 2 hours. Or like some of my college students know that I taught and published in Discrete, so they'll like ask me, "Hey, can you tutor me in Discrete real quick?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And I just end up like 2 hours later going on a math rant. So, sorry, back to the question at hand. So, like, just creating a more inclusive space. What do you want to see done? How can we do it?
Okay. So, for one, like I love game. Right, we all know I'm a League of Legends person. I love game changers, for example, right? I love like what they've been doing with it. I think it's a great opportunity for women in League of Legends. Um, so I mean, like example, there's in general a lot of, I think nowadays even like tournaments that are more inclusive. Like we have Supergirl Gamer Pro, which happens for many different titles, right? So we have tournaments like that, but I think in general opportunities for people, right? But and this is, I had a very interesting talk with someone about, in particular, I'm just gonna say like League of Legends, right? Like where, and you see it a lot on League Twitter, where it's like, well, if women or you know even like to an extent like queer people were that good, why aren't they in LCS already? And it's like, well, they're one scared to be like, because there are plenty of really great amazing gamers, but like they're they're afraid of like what will happen to them, right? So I sincerely hope like they'll in the future become more comfortable, but at the same time I can't help but feel like there needs to be more, and I'm not really sure how this would be done, like security in place, privacy and security features, perhaps. Just because, like, in general, I feel like there has to be a good big perception that has to change. But it's like how long till that shifts, right?
Yeah,
Open conversation.
and that sort of perception shift is difficult because there's this echo chamber in a lot of spaces online about certain topics where it's like Twitter is very much an echo chambery place, especially, and esports lives on Twitter, and so there's an issue of when people have a topic they like, an idea they like, they're gonna stick to it because it's echo chambering now. And so like the back when CS announced the women's tour, There's this whole backlash Twitter about why can't women just play pro and tier 1 if they're actually that good. And once like you said, because they don't feel comfortable or safe. And it's a lot of ways that's been demonstrated they can't be comfortable or safe. But the community only sees haha women bad at video games, haha, and that kind of stick on that. And that's just not the truth at all. So it's that echo chamber effect that's really frustrating to deal with. Hannah, I'd rather jump to you then. What's kind of your thoughts, and what do you want to see that can impact you on just creating more inclusive spaces?
Definitely from when I started being in esports to now, there's been a great increase in tournaments that include the LGBTQ plus community as well as women in esports. I think I can talk more for the Overwatch and Valorant community, especially. There was a female Overwatch pro player that was in the scene, but she got harassed from what people say constantly. Got
SK?
accused. No. She was on the Shanghai Dragons,
Oh, okay.
off-tank player. But she got accused of
Gregory.
hacking. Yeah,
Yeah.
Gregory. She got accused of hacking many times, and it's because of this stereotype that women can't play games.
I
And
don't understand that
sometimes
stereotype. I literally had someone tell me that as a person who's AMAB, I have a biological advantage in video games. And then they compared me to a toaster, so I'm not quite sure where they're going with that.
What?
Huh. What?
I can't explain it. I
I'm a
legitimately
little
can't.
lost on that one.
I will send you the
Yeah.
DM later. Yeah, I
I'm-
posted on my Twitter a while ago, but like I'll show you the DM later. Yeah,
I'd love to see that one.
yeah, I got compared to a toaster. I got compared to a toaster because I'm trans. It's easy. That's simple. You're trying to piece this apart, and I can see the gears turning in Hannah's head right now.
Yeah, no,
So sorry. I'm just like,
it don't make
What?
sense.
2 and 2 are making 4 here. They're making 16.
Yeah, so it's this whole idea of biological advantage and women can't compete in video games and
Oh,
this whole thing. Winter, get out of my chat. Get it. My God, man. So I just it's this whole concept that keeps getting lost across all the translations is that discriminatory spaces online exist because we continue to allow them to exist. And that's kind of the first thing that is dismantling those. But I can't look at chat right now. Minnie, you can't join him on this. You can't. I can't look at chat right now. So just creating more inclusive space in esports starts with listening to those who are of those communities and letting them like speak their mind and speak their truth and learning from that and not dictating what they're saying. I'm ignoring chat. I want you to know I'm ignoring chat. Okay, so I want to kind of wrap this up with just how do I phrase this? Do you guys have anything you want to promote that you're doing, and kind of where we find you on socials?
oh,
I know Tiffany, you're doing a billion things, so promote them.
okay. Well, for one, definitely check out our very cool League of Legends organization, Supernova, on Twitter.
Tiffany's the one who got us the Supernova sponsorship. Thank you,
Yes.
Tiffany.
It'd be no problem. It'd be GG_Supernova. We have a team competing in PG right now. We're doing pretty awesome. So I would love, if you guys could come and support us on our game days or in general, and we'll be releasing some cool merch that you can buy soon. Also please come support St. Mary's Esports. I love everyone there, so please support. You can find me at RioClue on Twitter, doing my thing. Yeah.
Awesome. And then
That's
Hannah?
Um, I'm looking to start streaming a little bit more this summer. Either just hanging out with people, trying to get better at some of the games I play. So you can find me at twitch.tv/Zunix10. And then if you just want to see some weird memes, or just cats doing stupid things, you can find that on my Twitter at Zunix00. And then please follow Illinois Wesleyan. You might see some of the photography that I've shot for them. So support them at their events, if not just at the stuff they do, because they do amazing things.
Thank you, Hannah. I didn't bribe her, by the way. Did not bribe Hannah.
No,
Oh,
this is all me.
Well, thank you both. Your perspective here is really appreciated, and I really appreciate you guys coming on.
thanks
Thank
for
you for
having
having
me.
me.
Okay, we're gonna cut it to a longer break so I can go eat, and then we'll be back with some gaming. I believe I'm playing Black Belt and playing Overwatch.
Cora, am I joining in for that one?
If you want to.
Cough,
Hey.
cough. Hell yeah.
Oh God. Okay, come back in like 20 minutes. Watch me get tortured. Cool. Bye.